The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It's yet another edition of The Big Issue. And of course, as usual, I'm your regular host. George Agba is the name. And of course, in the studio, our in-house analyst, we have Silas Ezewu.
You're welcome today.
And Paul Agbo.
Good evening.
Together, we'll be taking you on the big issue of the day. But before we do that, we want to wish our viewers, especially the Muslim faithful, who are in the mood of festivity already, a very happy Salah celebration in advance. Tomorrow is Salah now, Salah. Of course, we've not even seen some of our own Muslim faithful who are colleagues here who are Muslims.
That's the time.
But they cannot run. No matter they can run, but they cannot hide. They must bring that ram.
Ram is out of
Yes. It's not only the Bible that says there's joy in sharing now.
inflation.
Even the Quran, I think there's a portion that says there's joy in sharing.
It's not over yet.
Of course, we are still watching. Well, and for the big issue of the day, it is still on the Kuje prison attack, complicity, insider conspiracy, and other matters are rising. And of course, the attack on Kuje Medium Correctional Center by daredevil terrorists on Tuesday, freeing over 800 inmates, may have come and gone, but the issues arising from there is beginning to throw more insight and revelations, which points directly to one particular issue: the failure of the country's security architecture. And of course, feelers and more revelations has shown that there had been complicity, and of course, insider conspiracy. And of course, the Senate president had led the delegation of the National Assembly to the prison in Kuje and was shocked to discover that there was no CCTV camera in the correctional facility. And of course, Lawan said there could only have been possible, that is, the attack could only have been possible with the collaboration of insiders within the nation's correctional system. He faulted the Nigerian Correctional Service for not providing closed-circuit television at the Kuje Correctional Facility and others across the country. And just like the Senate president was mentioning all this and pointed to the fact that what the country is really witnessing is a failure of its security architecture, there have been more revelation of some police officers about two arrested over their conversation on phone with the fleeing terrorists. And of course, the federal government, through the Minister of Interior, said that Boko Haram were responsible for the attack. Most people were wondering about 300 terrorists coming into the nation's capital, taking that operation without a very firm intelligence to monitor and identify them before the attack. Silas, it's becoming worrisome. I think we should agree with the Senate president. There's no way such an attack would have taken place without an insider conspiracy, against the backdrop of the fact that two policemen were arrested, one of them an IPO. The telephone conversation after getting this information from his mobile handset showed that he was talking to some of he was talking to the terrorist. They say the manner in which he spoke showed that he was compromised. He and one of the other police officers arrested. And this might just be a tip of the iceberg of something we might not know, that is actually an issue now within the security cycle.
Yes, I think that a thorough investigation of all the people that worked in that prison in the last 6 months, they should bring all their phones, all their communication phone calls, text message, WhatsApp, all communication to be studied to know the level of complicity of each of them. Whether that's complicity, if you go into the cell and step body, they'll tell you that the attack on Kuje was an insider job. What they call it, they say Nigeria now, anything that they see as a shade, they say scam. So what's the other? They say Kuje is scam. That the people who carried it out are within. The way they struck, even the unhurried nature of the attack.
They say they even came armed, even had their own recreational kits, that they saw cans of minerals, and that
They were even
that the
preaching.
terrorists shared money,
Yes, they were even preaching,
then sharing
their
money
ideology
before
to people.
engaging in the attack.
That means
That is
it showed a group that knew that nobody was coming to chase them away, to attack them. You understand? That's what it shows. Imagine an armed robber goes to a man's house and sits down and asks for brings food from freezer and drinks and start dancing around. You know,
before
what they want to strike, take people to and run away. They were not in a hurry. And in Abuja,
the nation's capital,
with all the security paraphernalia around, with all the checkpoints around, you know. So that's why even the Senate president said this thing. Bryce was disappointed in the failure of intelligence response. The Senate president, this is an insider job. Well, they're already concluding, but it will be better to let a thorough independent investigation to show whether there's conspiracy, which everybody believes so, and then the level of conspiracy and how far it goes. These kind of things. From the issue of Wadume, who was released there, Wadume, the Taraba kidnapper. You could see how far up.
Kabiri, Sokoto, even the bombers of these United Nations building.
And apart from even the terrorists, some of them are their best, their most gifted bomb makers, who they had begged the government to exchange in and the government refused. They are all there. All the people that are in the streets now, you know. So, and then these same people had already asked government to release some of these people in exchange for cannot attack, captives. And government, they have come by themselves to release the same people that asked government to release, and they still holding the train attack. So even if one are asking for these people, meant that they want them at all costs, and there should have been everything made possible to make sure that they can't get at them. And especially since reports in the last few months have been showing that Niger State government has been saying it. Other people say that terrorists are surrounding Abuja. They're already in Niger State, close to Abuja. In fact, there have been kidnappings going on in parts of Abuja towards that axis. So people knew that they were already around. Yet there was no effort. After about 13 jailbreaks in Nigeria, some of them by Boko Haram
since
2020, since NSAS. Some of them were there by terrorists looking for their members. Others were just, out of desperation. Okay, since that time to now, and they're still telling us that there's no CCTV, there was no thing done to make sure that Abuja doesn't happen. So if they say there's no conspiracy, then maybe I should change my name.
Yes, Paul. You see, when the president visited that facility on Wednesday while he was on his way to Senegal, he said he was disappointed at the country's intelligence. And when he made that statement, most Nigerians concluded that heads would roll. And I think some of them are now saying that by now they would have expected to see massive sack, shake up in the country, security. But at the end of the day, nothing. And there is no sign that a gruesome and major attack had taken place in the nation's capital and government is proactive. No sign.
George, in the local palace, there's a popular saying by Nigerians that, quote, nothing they happen. So people,
and that nothing they happen means no shaking.
No shaking. No shaking.
No impunity.
The president doesn't sack. He rarely sacks. Even the recent cabinet reshuffle was like a big surprise to many people.
Because of politics now, people
Mm.
resign.
Yes.
Not because they are finding not to
yeah.
work.
The minor cabinet reshuffle where some people were moved from one ministry
To another.
to another.
So that one was as a result of the fact that
Yes.
some
So-
ministers resigned because of to pursue their political
Failure of
ambition.
the intelligence.
Mm.
Is it now that the president is getting to know that the intelligence supplied to him has been very largely distorted
Or compromise.
or compromised? Perhaps he may have been informed that some of those attacks, incidences around the country are just minor things perpetrated by some rogues or hoodlums. But he didn't know that they are serious state matters until he came to his doorstep. What is the distance between Kuje and the city center? 43 kilometers. If daredevil terrorists can come close to 43 kilometers to the presidential villa to release hardened
Terrorists
and criminals,
kidnappers,
that
rapists.
means the
Killers,
entire
murderers.
nation is at risk, George. That is the truth. They operated for hours. So
At least 2 hours.
2 hours, minimum of 2 hours. And we couldn't marshal state resources, our coercive elements of power to counter them, even to be in charge of the radius. We have
an iron curtain around that place.
Yes, we should have formed an iron curtain because we have 106 gas brigade in Bogolada. We have 102 gas brigade in Suleja, in Niger State, which is just about 50 kilometers away from the city center. We now have another gas brigade in Kefi, which is about 50 kilometers from the city center. We have a small military base in Kuje.
In Kuje itself.
In Kuje itself.
Where the prisoners.
Then we have another small military base in Kwali. Then we have checkpoints along all the major entry points and exit points of Kuje. About 3 military checkpoints. How did they get away?
How did they get in? How did they get away?
How did they get away?
And then even
And
the
that
getting
is why-
away is even the
And that is why
because
this,
300 terrorists now releasing over 800. You know, when
Then all
a
of
crowd
them
of
just
over 1,000 are moving,
disappeared
it's
into
not-
Are they,
It's very
are
visible.
Are there ants that can walk
I
through?
wonder.
They're human beings.
what
And some of them may be motorized.
I also forgot to mention that we have another a very powerful military base by
Base.
Nigeria Air Force, just by the airport, and the airport is just few kilometers away from Kuje,
From Kuje.
where the prison headquarters itself is located,
Mm.
just close to the Nigeria Air Force base.
Base, yes.
And yet, what was our response time to emergency? Because it was a national emergency.
And the information about it got out early enough.
Early
Even
enough.
on radio.
Anyhow,
of course.
even on radio.
But when they were still attacking people,
Eh?
the message was already on radio.
Yes. So what
3
was
hours
our
operation.
response time? So we just sat down with all the peripheral
They
of
went to sleep.
power.
Power.
We just sat down
Allowed.
and allowed them to operate and left. And yet, the president will go there and say, failure of intelligence. Days
Yeah.
after,
They were giving intelligence.
people are still enjoying their...
And they've not even caught.
Eh.
They've not even caught anyone since that time.
At all.
2 days later, they've not even caught one person.
These guys are potent guys. Those guys have potency in the manufacturing of dangerous explosive material.
That is why even most Nigerians are even agreeing with the Senate president that there is insider conspiracy.
Inside that conspiracy, what is happening?
Yes.
The Minister of Interior is just going there today.
Yes.
Where was he? Anywhere he was around the world, he could have cut off that
In
trip
fact,
and return back
if
immediately.
you're on his job, there's no way that thing will happen for 20 minutes
Mm.
and the Minister of Interior will not hear
Eh?
that it was happening.
So
Yes,
it's a
it's not
slap on
possible.
us.
After
It's a slap on us.
That's not
and
possible.
it's a slap on the,
That you
and
will
the
not know
president.
within minutes of that happening. It's not possible.
And
These guys will go back and make jest of the
They
president
already made just
Of course.
the whole
and the
country.
whole country.
they,
And other claim, how are we being viewed outside Nigeria?
the view and the
that is
impression
why-
now is that
That is why
we don't even
US
have a
Embassy
security.
and the British High Commission
Mm.
had to release
Advisories.
advice,
Advice.
even mentioning our airport road. If you get to hear that the road leading
To the airport.
to the airport
The nation's
Yes.
the nation's capital.
is not safe.
How can you travel?
How can
How
I
can they
keep on
come
saying that
and
these are some of the things militating against our FDI, foreign direct investment. The president just returned from Portugal. He signed a lot of deals in Portugal. Some of those guys who partook in those
Celebrations.
On hearing
celebrations, on hearing this, we say
will
no,
never come.
that is not the right place.
The
Let us
environment
keep
is
our
not
investment.
conducive for
Can we
investment.
look for other options
Yes.
in Africa?
You can,
And that is why companies are going to Ghana, manufacture there, and sell to us to buy. Recall, there's a major social media outfit that is taking its regional office to somewhere within Africa, not Nigeria. I don't know which of that. I will recall the
So have you going now? So have you going?
And that is not good for us.
And yesterday, while blaming Boko Haram for the attack, the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, said that already security forces are combing the Kuje area up to 100-kilometer radius. That means extending to Kogi, Niger, Kaduna.
100 kilometers radius from Kuje is like from Kuje to Kefi, from Kuje to Kotonkarfi in Kogi State.
Yes.
Then from Kuje to this place, Toto. Nasarawa. Then from Kuje to near Paiko, in Niger State. Lapai, Agri.
Kaduna.
Then on the Kaduna axis, we are talking about Katari.
Yes. If wait, Silas, if security operatives are doing this combing, and yet they will say they can't cite those terrorists, I cannot understand what this combing means. Because if they cannot succeed with combing, then let them do brushing. Most times we come and we will not brush it. No, but it's, no, please, they're combing. Because if you keep combing, the way you're talking of combing, at least by now we would have seen results.
Yes. Well, he has to say something. He has to say something to assure people that they do something. But if actually there was a massive, if there was a massive
checkpoint nationwide,
if there was a massive, let me tell you.
And then recently, Silas was driving and he got to a checkpoint, and the man, a police officer telling Silas that no,
I will not search you.
I will not search you.
Just find me something.
Find me something. Let me go.
That's what.
The kind of
Even now, there's no urgency amongst the agents that something serious has happened, and let us work be on the job for now. I think for some time. It's still the same idea of look how can you give us at the checkpoint,
and then go to some of these check now. You won't see any difference. On by now, we would have been expecting to see security for some ground
anywhere.
or nothing.
And you see that time that thing happened. Policemen along the Bogolada Giri Zuba highway, you will find up to 7 to 8 police checkpoints on that short distance.
Can you imagine?
About
checking what?
Yeah, about 10 kilometers.
Checking what?
Oh, they are just after commercial
vehicles.
They are just after commercial drivers. 1,500 naira. That is what they are just after. It could have, those terrorists could have even passed
and just drop money for them.
And just drop money, officer. Take involved. They just
and they afraid doesn't show that
terrorists. Doesn't show that they are terrorists.
So they just give them money and they allow them and pass.
While other security agencies are rushing to Kuje, those guys would have even passed Kaduna and going their way. Some of them, they will just split themselves. Some will take through Kaduna, some will take through Jos. No, like that.
Because if they had put this security, put all checkpoints on alert, at least we would have heard of one major arrest.
Because those guys are not fools. They're also brilliant. They're also intelligent.
They're terrorists.
And their colleagues that came also came with intelligence. They've already mapped our strategy.
Yeah, how to strike and how to run away.
How to run away.
And how to spread.
They know that, look, these guys will come within the general area of Kuje.
The attack.
And the attack and maybe 100 meters radius for Kuje. They know that they will go, security agencies will go to Suleja, will go to Giri,
they're not to go by road.
They will go to Kwali, Abaji, Toto, Nasarawa State, Kefi in Nasarawa State, the Karu Jara area, Buhari, and all the fringes of the FCT. They know that these guys will go there combing. Of course, they won't be there. By 6 a.m., those guys will be far away.
Well, I thought before they used to call this Kuje Correctional Center a maximum. So it's a medium.
It's a medium prison.
But even medium prison
because of proximity to the Abuja,
Mm.
most of the VIPs are kept in Kuje.
Okay.
Not go
Yeah.
to a trial or that.
Yeah,
Mm.
because of trial and
And
family
that-
visitation and stuff. Because there are some people you cannot take them to Guru prison or to go prison.
Or to
Take,
casual.
for example, a Jolly Yami.
Mm.
You can't take a Jolly Yami to go prison.
Mm.
It was during the military era that they don't care. People like Obasanjo also, they took them to Guru.
Ghanaian for me to casual prison.
Mm.
To the end of nowhere.
Because I'm
So-
beginning to see reasons why, Paul. You know why I asked that question? I'm beginning to see reasons why. I begin to wonder whether our security forces, or just like the prison authorities, whether the people manning these places they really they had training in the first place. Because wait, let me why in other countries. For instance, I can remember one of the kind of prison they say they kept one drug lord. That prison was so fortified because there's no way they can be able to somebody Escobar and the rest. If they tell you, they begin to describe the structure of those prisons.
Yes.
Where
So that you can withstand any attack.
I was done by any of the guests.
George, basically,
You
yeah.
catch terrorists,
Mm.
the ones that have committed terrible atrocities, bombing, killing people, and then go put them in this kind of facility. And at the end, people who
Just
have
throw one
visited the
small,
place said this is not
It's
even
more
the kind of
explosive.
place.
Yes,
IED to blow it up.
it's not one, and that thing again that I see as a flaw is that why would the government keep on selling land to civilians
Around the area.
These terrorists can just send it because it has to do with surveillance.
Prison of that nature is not supposed to
It has
be
do with
within
spying, surveillance.
residential area.
It could be that the last 1 year or 6 months,
Yeah,
because
because
I've just planted people rent houses
within
there,
around there
and those
be
guys should just be giving
monitoring,
them
yes.
monitoring and be giving
information.
I would suggest to the federal government at this point that they should immediately commission the construction of brand new prison,
A maximum one at
a
that
maximum outside,
away from
away from this very secure location to avoid this kind of embarrassment in the future.
yes.
And after constructing a normal prison, 100 meters away from the prison, there should be a wire fence. Then 50 meters away from that 100 meters, there should be another wire fence linked to a computer system where any woman or any approach, even 50 meters, that is what is done in Israel. That is why if you cross the Israeli border, they know that somebody has crossed into our country.
And now they are seeing you working.
Yes.
You.
So that to avoid this kind of we have the resources to achieve that.
Are we ready to deploy it in the right way, or are we ready to funnel that resources into our pocket to build mansions everywhere?
There's a solution because civilians will understand that some people residents are now thinking of relocation
From that area.
it's too risky for
It's
them.
not more safe.
It's not more safe. Why should
You stay one night and start hearing gunshots and explosion?
to
You know what would have happened
our
to people.
prison
Imagine
facilities?
people we I
Some people
living,
have
living in that
Yes.
area.
Why should we have our prison in a civilian
Residential.
residential
you
area?
keep
I've been there
hardened
before.
criminals,
And I've
rapists,
seen it.
murderers,
Yes.
kidnappers,
You can pass
terrorists.
You can
in the
pass
same
by the
place.
prison freely. And a terrorist can just position somebody and say, look, your job is just to monitor activity here. Give us daily
And they
report.
pay very well.
They pay you very well.
Okay, another issue that you not mention is
Mm.
it is a medium security prison. Why are we keeping hardened
Criminal in
that
a
place?
medium.
When we have maximum security prisons elsewhere, you are mixing up hardened criminals, murderers, bombers,
And lump in one
with
cell,
some
not
petty
in-
thieves,
not in individual cells, so lump in one room.
then high profile political.
An expert who had
No,
gone to the place said that
I'm still coming. And there's those people who have been there, so they have been there for 10 years. I know that Karu Sukudu, I remember it was Abakare, who is also in Kuje, that after he broke out from, I think, police custody or so, police cell or something, when he was arrested, Karu Sukudu, I think, carried out the near bombing that killed 8 people and wounded almost 200 people. So after he was manipulated out of prison, it took 1 week or so for Abakare and his team to nail him somewhere and bring him back. He is there. Why has he been tried? Him and people like the UNM bomber, United Nations building bomber, the Badara bomber, they're all there. Wadume.
Wadume.
Now, Odume is we know he's doing the kidnapping
Kabili,
and also.
Sokoto,
No, have they been tried successfully?
no.
They say
They are there on awaiting trial. Oh.
no. Okay,
They have
were
never
saying
been
something
convicted.
about,
There are no conviction yet.
rehabilitation, whatever. Is it going on? So what is their state since how many years to now? What is the state of the trial? Why are they
radicalization?
Yes, that's the word. So what is the state of the trial? Some people, apart from the mend man,
Some of them have been there since 2011.
that's more than 10 years.
And that is even why the terrorists will not stop doing what they are doing, because they know that the highest they can do is to arrest them and keep them there. If they know that those that have been caught had been killed in a brutal manner, most of them will be
Even sentenced to death, and they could shoot anytime.
For this with the public glare, so
You
that
don't
people
keep
will
them
see.
there for 10 years.
It will serve as deterrence.
The trial has not been going on. You just get quiet there.
Like I said,
What kind of justice am I running?
I opened my statement here with nothing will happen. And Judge, you can quote me. I'm ready to apologize if something will happen. Nothing will happen. Yes, complicity inside that conspiracy is obvious. It's glaring.
But even then, if there were competent people managing their job, they can also, reverse that inside that complicity. But if some people are complicit, some are not complicit.
It's left for the presidency and the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Defense, to commission a thorough inside investigation.
If you ask me first,
they need to purge themselves.
But if you ask me first,
but
this
can it be successful?
This person, the Minister of Interior, should have stepped aside for now.
They don't,
because already he has shown he was sleeping on his job.
Can
you tell me that after 13 or so deep breaks in 2020, that we're still talking about CC camera in a place that's housing the hardest criminals in the country? You are still talking about it now. What about the House of Reps? Even the senator that was talking about, is he telling me that they have oversight of the prisons? That is, they have been doing oversight there. They have not noticed that this security flaws are there. Flaws are there. There's no CCTV camera, that they needed to secure the place better with better, gadgets. Are they telling me that it's only now they're finding out, or they just sit there and collect their big salaries and allowances and whatever they can go away until they happen and they start lamenting? All of them have sleeping. Somebody said it on TV, and I bought into that term. He said there's a culture of incompetence in the Nigerian system, and that's why nothing works at all. When PDP was kicked out of power, it was because there was a culture of impunity. It was there. But some people were still doing their job. But now people are sleeping on a job and they don't even get a damn, because they know they are the commander.
Nobody will sack them.
Because the commander doesn't give a damn.
They will not be catched to give an account. That is even why, that reminds me, Paul, that is even why most people are beginning to talk of the electoral system. That it's all about the process of electing those who will represent, those who will govern the country. That is why most Nigerians, I think, are running for their PVC. The rush had never been like before, the way the present rush. But you see, why I'm saying so is that I think there's this awareness among Nigerians. Recently, the national vice chairman of the APC Northwest, Salih Ulukman, led the delegation of the zonal schools visiting states. And when they landed in Zamfara, unlike where you used to see it's all about praise singing and the rest, when I say, we'll vote for you, party members, the same APC members sat them down and told them that, look, the only condition that we'll vote for APC presidential candidate and all other candidates on the party's platform and the party itself is under one condition: the issue of insecurity must be addressed. That coming from your own party members.
Not even grand public.
Stakeholder, yes, your own
members.
party members. You should see the extent to which most Nigerians are frustrated, are overwhelmed, and the way they're beginning to lose confidence even in the government.
10 months is a long time to effect some level of changes. And if the president wants to leave a good he wants to live with some good name attached to his government. Yes. He still has
make very good use of this injury time.
He should make use of this the injury time. This don't look thing attitude, that this I don't care. Sometimes very soon critics will start even pointing accusing figure at him that look,
are you
sure you are not?
Yes, because the way you are going about the whole thing, you also run the country aground, and it's dangerous.
I didn't run the ground. No, see, people.
But
Before I come to the studio, people were telling me that look, there's somebody who was a terrorist prophetizer holding a sensitive position in the data management of Nigeria. That's the one that says Professor Pantami. And when it came known to the public that he was, I don't know about now. Nobody knows his mind whether he is.
Of course.
Was a sympathizer. You know, this ideology is very strong. It doesn't run away easily. If that kind of person is in his government, let me tell you, when the Batnaji was asked to resign from government because he used to be in a company,
Yes,
he used to be a company which he resigned from, and which before it came to government work, but because he used to be there and the company was bidding, they said that could be conflict of interest. They did a civil matter, step aside, and he quickly did it. This person has been found to be a Boko Haram sympathizer in the past, and then when it was found out, they wishy-washy the team, and he's still there. And the one in charge of all this, and they told us if you register for all these things, thinking of this and that we cannot track everything who is doing. Now, why are we not tracking? And they're making phone calls. If you, as a civil person, say something against government they don't like, they'll track it to your house and pick you. But they are not tracking the bandits, they're not tracking down the terrorists, and they're telling us, how do you expect people not to believe? I don't say Barry is part of it, but how are we telling the people? How can you convince them that Barry does not know what is happening when he has left somebody who might be complicit?
Yes, that is even what that brings me to
that question.
That brings me to what that brings me to what I wanted us to conclude with. Just like Paul said. Paul said within the period of 10 months, Buhari can still make the difference. He can still save his government's face. By using this injury time, do you believe that there's any remedy President Buhari can do now, within now till next year, May 29, when he will leave office?
You know, see, in life, when there's no hope, you are finished. So there's hope but that hope has to be through action. If the president,
reasonable action.
Yes, if the president, you know, is meant to make some changes to what he knows what to do. So if you feel that this is okay, he'll keep quiet. So whatever he does now, will tell Nigerians whether what is happening is okay by himself or he's not okay by himself. So Nigerians will judge from his actions whether he likes what's happening. If he doesn't like what's happening, he knows what to do. If he likes it, he knows what to do. So whatever he does between now and 10 months will decide where he belongs in the equation.
Well, that is the much we can take for today's edition of The Big Issue. Well, the attack on them, the Kuje Correctional Center, is still an unfolding event. And of course, this has become a major issue in the country, and Nigerians are watching with consummate exactitude to see what the government of the day will do in addressing the growing and alarming insecurity in the country. Well, for you and me, our guess is as good as other Nigerians. The country is no more safe. There's a total failure of security. And how the president intends to redeem the image of his government is what most Nigerians and even we in the studio expect to see in the coming days. Thank you for keeping tab with us. And of course, I'll thank our in-house analysts for actually addressing the big issue the way it should be. Join us same time next week for another edition of this program. Have a wonderful weekend and a very, very happy Salah celebration.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.